Everyone, I'm Mack, and welcome to another episode of the Golden Rule Revolution, where inspiration and purpose come from treating people like people and nothing less. What a concept, huh? Treating people like people. I want to ask you, are you choosing to treat your fellow mankind? Are you choosing to treat them kindly and in love? Nothing else matters, my friends. If you are not speaking in love, acting from love, living in love, there is a great void in this world of love. We are not lacking opinions. We are not lacking access to information. We are not lacking access to truly anything except love, loving people. People who aren't telling someone you're either this or that, right or wrong, Republican, conservative, you support Trump, you're anti-Trump, blah, blah. Oh. Are you coming from a place of love? That's all that matters. Literally, that's all that matters. All your opinions, even if they're 100% right, and you don't stand for love, you are separating humanity. You are separating yourself from someone else. And instead of getting to know another person and celebrating the differences and looking at the facets that make people so unique, are you getting triggered? Are you shutting down? Are you not even willing? Look, I have read the Quran, the Torah, Christianity books, the Satanic Bible I'm reading right now. There is nothing wrong with consuming information. But what is harmful to society is when I say, because you do not align with me, you are the problem. Excuse me, my friends. The problem is declaring that divisive statement or feeling or thought or rhetoric. If I don't stand for your breath, I don't stand for my breath. And the same goes for you not standing for mine. And there is not one person on planet Earth who shares literally the exact same belief structure as another person on planet Earth. It's impossible. Just like your fingerprint and your retina are unique to you, so are your beliefs, perceptions, and understandings are unique to you. We can all hear the same information, but because of our own internal makeup and trauma and all the things that were created in us from childhood to now, allow information to go. If you think of it like a coin dropping down, it drops down different slots. Information comes in and changes its pathways depending on who hears the information. So to deride another person for not believing the same thing as you, or attacking them for believing something exactly opposite of you, is the problem, my friends. We do have a problem in society. We do have a problem in politics and media and policing matters and military and all the things. We do have a problem. You know what that problem is? It's not a lack of access of information. It's not a lack of access to knowledge, rhetoric, books, opinions. It is a lack of love. And that is what creates the problems in this world. And before anyone says, well, that is a utopian ideal, who is forcing you not to be loving? Who is forcing you not to share and show kindness to another person? This is why the golden rule is so important. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And do not do unto others that which you would not have them do unto you. The platinum rule is do unto others as they would have them you do unto them. Starts with the golden rule because you first have to ask that person how they want to be treated, which is how you would want to be treated to be asked. Therefore, it all derives back to the golden rule. That's why the Golden Rule Revolution podcast is so important. It's to treat people like people and nothing less. Not a political party, not your opponent in a debate, but a fellow human looking at reality from different perspectives and angles. Celebrate the observations. Don't attack them. Don't attack conspiracy theorists. Celebrate them. Bring all information to the forefront. Just because it's brought to the forefront doesn't mean it's true, doesn't mean it's right. All it is information being brought to the forefront. And we get to look, dissect, think, discuss all facets of all perspectives. That is a healthy society. And when we get triggered, if you're getting triggered right now listening to what I'm saying, I would ask you, what inside you is causing yourself to be triggered? And I actually remember a couple years ago, the word triggered was a word that meant something. I mean, if we cannot discuss ideas, we are in way worse trouble than what political party is running this country, running your state, running your government. If we cannot, as human beings, rise up and discuss in an open forum our ideas, our thoughts, our discussions, and question and Socratic method the reality of our existence, knowing full well that we will never know the fullness of all reality. So we must have the humility to question and be kind. If we can't do that, then forget who is president. It is about loving people. It's always been about loving people. It will always be about loving people. And when I've heard some critics of me say, you're too bright or you're too, positive, and when people are really hurting. Yeah, I know people are hurting. I know what the depth of pain is. I lived in pain. I lived in terror. I lived in fear of my life. When I attempted suicide at the age of 20, I know what absolute is. I know what going and letting go of living and expecting to die. I know pain. And just because light might be offensive if you've lived in the darkness so long doesn't mean that light should be shunned. It's that we have become accustomed in society to live in darkness. And I mean right and left, conservative, Republican, liberal, Democrat. All of it is a joke. If it strips away your understanding that your greatest privilege and right and opportunity in this world is to show love and kindness to fellow human beings. It's not about the money you make, the prestige you get, the house you have, the car you drive, the materialism you amass in this world. It is about being kind and loving to your fellow human being. We have forgotten something, and it's time to remember why we're here. Whether you come at it from a religious perspective and say, wow, the garden, quote unquote, is where paradise was on earth. Well, guess what? Life is still a garden. It's just your job to dig it out and cultivate it and break up the fallow ground, as it says in Isaiah, to break it up. And if you don't come at it from a religious perspective, but you come at it from an evolutionary perspective, well, don't you want to evolve into a loving place? Hello, my brothers and sisters. Don't you want to choose where we go as an evolutionary species on this planet to evolve into love, to evolve into an understanding of that which is the origin of all things, and fall in love with the origin? Because the origin is what gives us permission to be here now. We have a massive problem in our society, and the problem is not lack of access to information. The problem is a lack of love and kindness in the hearts and minds of mankind. And the only way to be the change that you truly want to see is stop using the same means and methods that have been proven to produce the results that we are seeing right now. Stop using the same old rhetoric and paradigms. Start speaking about health and unhealth, and what is healthy is love and kindness and joy and goodness and temperance and being able to discuss all things, but not getting triggered, shut down, angry. And the reality is this, to my liberal friends, my sweet, sweet friends, you may be right, and if you fall into the trap of us versus them, the them in the liberal argument are the people with guns, are the people who are perhaps proponents of the Constitution, constitutionalists. And if you think they are the problem, and let's say you could solve everything and take guns away. Well, how do you get guns taken away? You call the police or military who have guns to take those guns away. So you see, you're using the same means and methods that you deride the other side from using. And what I'm trying to show you is that isn't the issue. The issue is, can you have the humility to say and ask your fellow man, why do you believe what you believe? Tell me, show me, educate me. What have you read that have led you to this place? How have you grown up that's led you to this place? Let me share what I've read. As opposed to declaring, this is truth. Believe it or you're believing a lie. People say, what are you talking about? I bring all this up to say, my brothers and sisters, you being right does not produce goodness in the world. You being loving does. You having the political stance and posturing, right or left, conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat, does nothing to better the world. Coming from love and speaking in love does. And that's not a touchy-feely argument, and it's not a touchy-feely idea. From the very idea is the hardest thing to implement. Therefore, it is the hardest. But the greatest pursuit of mankind should be to walk in love, to love your neighbor, to love life, to support this earth, to treat this earth well, to cultivate the soil, to treat our air well, to remember how small and fragile we are. So to take care of each other, to check in with each other, and stop putting people in boxes and labels and titles and parties. Start, please, looking at another soul that is desiring the same freedom as your soul desires. See another soul desiring and craving the same freedom that your soul desires. And when we can look at each other like that, that will be a place that no amount of legislation can create, no amount of military might or vaccines can keep us from. When we see each other as souls that desire the same thing, that is when we will see a world of peace, a world of laughter again, a world of play, a world of wonder and discovery and beauty. And if anything I just said, vaccines, party, anything trigger you, look, I'm not taking a side. I'm saying that these are strings or channels or flows of narrative that get inserted into our society, and then we're either for or against. Well, how about taking a step back and saying any narrative that is trying to get me to be for or against, I actually reject. I take a step back. I look at it and say, is this based in love or is it based in fear? Does this produce more light that we can look at all things, or is this based in darkness to snuff out the light? And love and fear and light and darkness are not personalities. They're not individual humanistic constructs. They are universal laws and principles of existence. Whether you and I are here on this earth or not, and are listening to rhetoric or not, love and light, fear and darkness will always be in relationship to each other. And I have this quote here behind me. Darkness is not a counterforce to light. Darkness exists in the absence of light. Darkness is not a counterforce to light. Darkness exists in the absence of light. Just as fear is not a counterforce to love. Fear exists in the absence of love. So I want to tell you, just to be aware, anything that produces fear is from fear. And if it creates fear and it's from fear, it does not create love, nor does it come from love. And if you keep listening to that thing that comes from fear and creates fear, you are being complicit or helping or being a conduit or being a channel of that fear. So it's your job, it's my job, it's our jobs as human beings to detach and say, if this is not for the greater good of all souls, all minds, all hearts, agreed or not agree, then I want to pause and I want to think and I want to discuss and I want to look at all ideas and I want to listen to all people. Sadly, humankind has forgotten how to bring forth ideas. And I have a theory why is because people haven't read for themselves. And so they only get sound bites and snippets and this and that. And they go to churches and they only see a couple scriptures on a screen, or they listen to politics or political rhetoric and they only get a few 30-second sound bites or different. But to go and read. If you're a United States citizen, I know there's people listen all over the world, and thank you for listening. And I would encourage you to read this as well. If you have not read the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution, do so. So at least next time you form a political argument, you can have some sort of framework of what this whole foundational construct is about in this country. Read it. I have many copies underlined. Read the United States Constitution, Declaration of Independence. Read history and read multiple sources of the same account of history. It's very important. I talked about this on a recent podcast episode that I read 2 biographies on Constantine, one from the 1830s, one from the 1920s. The 1830s historian was from Germany. The 1920s historian was from the United States. And it was as if I was reading about 2 different men. So make sure you read multiple sources of the same information. And do the research and do your own homework and study for yourself. And there's been many things I've been wrong on in my life, my brothers and sisters, many things. And I'm sure there will be many more things. But one thing that I love more than anything else is truth. I want truth because I was raised in such confusion in a narcissist household and everything was gaslit and I didn't know what was true or not true. It was so confusing. It was so crazy. I crave truth more than anything else. And in my pursuit of truth, I have read so many different things. I'm even finishing up the Sacred Mushroom and the Cross right now, a book about this theory of Jesus was a mushroom. And look, I'm reading these things. Not saying I agree or disagree, but I'm reading them because they're out there and I want to know. And at the end of the day, whatever I form to be as true, I'm not saying it is truth because I don't know, but from my perspective, well, what makes me feel more free and more inspired and more loving? That which I know. That is how I know what is good and what is true. So all that to say, read for yourself, study for yourself, look for yourself, research for yourself, and do it all from love and do it all in love so that you can give love. That's all. That's it. That's the message. That's the message for you, brothers and sisters. I pray that you be blessed. I pray that you be grounded in love and in truth, that your hearts fret not because your mind is aligned to seeking the narrative of health and wholeness in this world. That's it. That's it, brothers and sisters. My name is Lucas Mack. This is the Golden Rule Revolution podcast, where I had no notes. I don't know what I was going to talk. I'm just talking. I'm sharing a message from my heart that I believe is in my soul, resides in the very depths of me, to come from a place of love. I hope it touches you and blesses you. And if it has, please rate this podcast. Please comment on it. Please share it. You can be vehemently opposed to what I just said and make a comment. Reach out to me. Let's have these great, beautiful discussions. It's okay to disagree. But may we not have to disagree, because we are both in pursuit of truth and both in pursuit of looking and questioning reality, as opposed to being rigid and dogmatic in our opinions. Let's just detach and love each other. My name is Lucas Mack. This is the Golden Rule Revolution, where inspiration and purpose come from treating people like people and nothing less. I'll talk to you on the next episode.